going to get started with the card blank. Okay, now this is a card blank which measures, let's see, about 7 inches. So that's pretty much what we're aiming for. Now I'm going to show you how to do the card blank. So your finished product is going to look something like this. Okay, so you're going to have a piece cut out halfway from the back, which stands up, and then when it does stand up, it stands up like that, which is all obviously decorated. Now, the trick to getting this right, and there is a trick to getting this right, it's how you place the scallops. You definitely need 2 of the scallops at the bottom so that they stand and don't rock you. So you're not trying to stand your card up on the point of one of the scallops, because otherwise it's just going to rock backwards and forwards. So you're going to need to get it so that you've got 2 scallops at the bottom of the card, so it's got some stability. And then you've got to match up your smaller die so that it matches up in the middle along the crease. Okay, so there's a little bit of trickiness involved, but I'll show you how to do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do it using a piece of pink cardstock. Okay, and a couple of spellbinder dies. Now these are the large grand nestabilities, large scallops or grand scallop circles. Now this is LF124, which I'll just pop here for you, LF124. And I'm going to show you how to do that, make the card blank yourself, if you can't find any to buy already pre-made. Okay, so I'll grab my my calibre, and I'll be back in a minute once I've cut out the large circle. Okay, so there's the large scallop cut out. Now at this point, if you wanted to go in with a little bit of a colour all around the edge, just to give it that a bit of a distinction, you'll get that nice little contrasting border all the way around. I'm not going to do that, mainly because, oh, it's there. Or one of those as well, which is from Ranger. And you can just go around the edge if you want to, just to add that little bit of added dimension and texture if you wanted to do that with a sponge distresser. Okay, so there's the large scallop circle cut out. I'm not going to bother doing that, so we can now discard that. Okay, and then what we need to do then is we need to find the middle point. Now remembering that we need 2 of the scallops at the bottom to make it stand up. I'm using my cutting mat because I've got a grid pattern on my cutting mat. You don't have to, but as long as you've got the bottom and the top on your centre point, or at least on a couple of crosshairs on your cutting mat, or you could just get it lined up and then just look to see where the middle point is. So the middle point for me is about there. Okay, so that's halfway between that scallop and halfway on that scallop there, and that's where I need to put a score line. So the best way to do that obviously is just to grab a ruler, and he says looking frantically around trying to find his. Okay, line it up and then maybe just put 2 little pencil marks, or if you're not really happy about how high up it is, just bring it till you're about happy with there. I'll say about half and half. Okay, grab an embossing tool, if you can find one. All my kit's all missing, or just something to put a little bit of a line on, and maybe in a pencil if you've got one to hand. God, all my equipment seems to have disappeared. I bet Ian's been in here. Yeah, I've got a score there. And literally just go across, or put 2 marks on either side and then fold it by hand. Literally, that's all we're going to do. Okay, so you've now got the base part of your card that'll stand up, but we want this piece to pop up from the middle. So now we've got a crease line, we can then line up our next die so that it's in the joint going right the way across. Now it doesn't matter that you've got a crease there, because you're not really going to see it, because you're going to decorate it up with your backing pieces and that kind of stuff. Now you're only going to see actually not going to see any of it because it's going to be joined up. Actually that piece, that die there, might not actually be big enough. So it's a good job I tried that first. So let's go for the next size up. So the next size up is this one. So let's try that one. So again, the crease of the scallop along the fold line, and then there you go, you see that's perfect. That's just exactly the right size that we want to get that effect. Okay, so we're okay with that. Now we need to make sure that that doesn't move when we put it through our calibre. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a couple of post-it notes across the top there, just to make sure that it doesn't move, and one there. That just moved on me just slightly. There we go. Give it a rub to make sure that it's stuck. You could use masking tape, or really low tack tape if you want to on there. I know some people have used washi tape and it's been fine. Now, so what we need now, we need our cutting mat, and then the trick with this is your top base plate, you only want to line it up halfway. Okay, so you've got it lined up halfway. It's only going to cut this half of the die and not that half, because there's nothing putting any pressure on that side. So the further you put it that way, the better really, but we're okay there. So line that up against the crease mark. Okay, and then I'm going to run this through the ground calibre. Okay, so I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, so I've run that through, and I'm taking off my post-it notes, and there you go. We now have a crease, a cut, sorry, that's only halfway through. There you go. Obviously on thicker card it'll stand up better, but there is a way of putting a little stopper on there. So there you go, you've got your own scalloped tentfold card that you've created, or you can use a bought one. Okay, so that's that. So moving on then, we're going to start putting all the mats and layers and everything, and start building the card up. I'm not going to use that pink one because I want something a bit stronger. So there we go, I'm going to use this white one. Okay, so I've already cut out all the pieces that I need. Now what I've done is, because I want to give this a little bit of a vintage feel and a vintage look, is I've gone in with a sponge dauber and some light brown ink. Now you could either use tea dye from Tim Holtz, the Distress inks, tea dye, vintage photo, or you could just use any other light brown ink that you can grab your hands on. I've used Crumb Cake from Stampin' Up, but there are other memento inks that you could use. There's the Adirondack ones. You can choose whichever ink you've got to hand really, to do your distressing. Right. So I've just gone around the edges of everything with a finger dauber and literally just added that little bit of colour to it, which I think just really sets it off. You could also use one of the Ranger Distress ones if you want to, or you can just use a piece of household sponge that you can literally buy from the store for just for next to nothing really, and just cut that up and use that if you want to. Now one big sponge like that, now this is about, let's see, about 6 inches. You could cut that up into at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe about 10 pieces, and get a lot of use out of it. Okay, so let's start putting the card together. Okay, so I've got my card blank, I've got my first matte piece, so using a tape runner for speed, I'm going to position that so that it's up against the crease mark equal, like so. Okay, so you can then grab your next panel piece, which is this, and that goes onto there like that. So you can, if you want to, you can raise this up, but I think it looks better just flat. There we go. You can see those distressed edges start to really make it look quite effective. Okay, the next piece, this one here, is going to go into there. So that's what we're going to stick on next. Make sure you get it relatively equal, or as equal as you can. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to open it back up now because I've got this piece here, and again I've done the same thing. I've distressed the edges. Now this is to go on the inside of the card, like so. Now that is going to hide the back, so it's going to hide that hole and also give you a nice actual insert panel for your card. So from the back you won't see it because the gap's now been filled in. Very good. Now, but be careful on this, because all you need is your tape across the top of the hole there, but not obviously all the way, and then all the way around the outside. And then equal it out. Just move that up so you can see it fully. Now, I have used a repositionable tape mainly because it's easier for me while I'm doing a demonstration, and also I've used one that if you do get it off, you just rub it. Get it in the wrong place, I should say. You just rub it. There you go. So that's now hidden, that gap on the back, and it's starting to look finished. Fantastic. Okay, so the next step then is we're going to build up the layers of our pyramid topper. Okay, now a pyramid topper, if you don't know what they are, is a topper that has smaller sized layers getting smaller as you go higher up. So from the side it will form like a pyramid shape, but from the top, when you look down on it, you don't lose any of the pattern because everything's all lined up properly. I've not stuck this together yet, so it's not exactly put together properly, but we're going to do that now. So when it's finished, when you look down on it, you will see the image as it was intended, but it's 3D, almost like 3D. So I've gone ahead and stuck foam pads on the back of mine, on there. So I'm going to take those off and put my first layer onto my card. Now you can put all 3 layers on first if you want to, or put all 3 layers together first before you stick it onto your card front. It's entirely your choice on this one. It's just whichever way you prefer to do it. Okay. So I'm going to lay that right, look in the middle. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do nicely. Okay, now stuck on. You can leave that as it is if you want. If you don't want to put the extra layers on, the top is fine as it is. But if you want that bit of extra dimension, then let's go the whole hog. So layer number 2. Okay, so find your point within the image that you know is lined up, and then literally just push down. Yep, then you can just look at it from the side or from the top. And then the last layer, same thing again. So I've got, I'll do it from the flowers on this one, or the leaves. And the writing helps line it all up. That looks good to me. There we go. So we've now got all three of our layers on. It's all nicely dimensional. And we're nearly finished. All I need to do now is just to add on a few little embellishments. Now I've got some printed faux pearls here that I want to add on. So these have been printed out, and then I'm going to just punch them out using my 3/8 circle punch. It's an inexpensive piece of kit that you can purchase from most high street craft shops. Big names and little names, there are different types you can get. So there's more than one you can go for. And then all I'm going to do is to get some little foam pads, and I'm going to pop them on the back. For that little wee bit of dimension. And then I'm going to put these just down the side here. Now what I'm going to try and do with these, I'm going to try and line it up so that all the highlights are in the same place. Let's see if we manage to get it exactly right, or as near as we can manage. Put one pair of scallop, that's a nice bit of spacing. And the next, it's just those little touches, getting all the spacing right and getting them all so the highlights look the same. Perfect. Okay, so all we need now is our sentiment. So because I'm going to use this as an Easter Bunny card, I want an Easter sentiment. So I have my sentiment here, and I just have to have a punch that fits exactly. Okay, this is the artisan label punch from Stampin' Up. So I've got my Happy Easter. So I'm going to just take that on another foam pad, a bit too big, just cut it down. Come on, you little creature. And I'm going to just pop that on there like that. Perfect Easter card. And there you go. One cheeky bunny. Now you can go in and add glossy accents to these. You can put glossy accents on those if you want to. I think I will do. I'll put a little bit of glossy accents on the eyes, and maybe a few dots and spots around the actual topper itself, and maybe add a little bit onto those. Perfect. Okay, well that's the card, and I hope you enjoyed watching me do it, and I hope you got something out of being able to make your own shaped scalloped tentfold card. Fairly easy, if you've got the machine, obviously. we go. Thanks for watching.